The following is a Just Green production brought to you by the Might Be News Network.
What's up, everybody? It's the week of December 3rd. This is Might Be Sports. I'm Taylor Cooper. With me, as always, Kevin Reevey. What's up?
Baby, it's cold outside.
CJ's here.
That's politically incorrect nowadays.
Shoot.
Andrew DiCecco's here. What's up, buddy? Thank you for being here.
Yes, sir.
So, Andrew's been on the show before, but in case you missed it, Andrew, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
So I write for the Eagles Wire. It's affiliated with the USA Today, SMG. And I also write a Patreon page where I kind of put some exclusive content that covers the Eagles and the NFL on that as well. I've done some interviews. I've done DeAndre Carter. I did Bruce Hector. I've done Chandon Sullivan. I just talked to Brian Mitchell, the great Eagles and Redskins and Giants player.
Wow.
Yeah, I got to talk about the body bag game. That was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
You know, I grew up watching Brian play, so it was pretty awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, so you're like the guy, like you interview these guys that are kind of like on the fringe, and which this is the greatest year as an Eagles fan to get that insight because these guys are now becoming starters, and you know these guys like personally. You interview these guys like just on the fringe of making the team, being on the roster, and now these guys like Chandon Sullivan like are on the team playing every down because the secondary is in ruins, and these are the guys that the season rests on their shoulders.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot to take on if you're a guy who's not used to playing a lot. You know, Chandon wasn't even supposed to really make the. I mean, he was supposed to be on the practice squad to start the year, and not have to start. And here he was last week, had to start with the season hanging in the balance, and he really stepped up in a big way. And Devontae Bosby and Crayvon LeBlanc as well.
Wow. Yeah. It's been a crazy season for the Eagles injury-wise.
So wait, I just want to say, all right, we've got Chandon Sullivan,
Yeah.
and there's Crayvon LeBlanc. Who's
And
the other guy?
Devontae Bosby. It sounds like
Yeah.
a bunch of wine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like it really does sound like a Harry Potter characters.
Yeah, that's a fair.
Kind of does. Yeah.
Crayvon LeBlanc could totally run Gryffindor.
Absolutely. No, you're right about that. Or like a star, like Quidditch player or something.
And the reason Kevin doesn't have those interviews.
Yeah, don't say that.
We're naming Gryffindor and Quidditch, but I'm thinking neither one of us are big Harry Potter fans. I think we just got lucky on those two.
Just watching the game the other night, it's just so many new faces, and it's that next man up mentality, and it's good to see these guys stepping up in a big way. Obviously, the past few weeks has been rough. But they're definitely on an upswing right now. I don't know how much of that was Mark Sanchez being the quarterback during that last game with the Redskins.
That certainly helps.
It certainly helps, We're going to talk more later about the Eagles-Dallas game coming up with, we have a little phone interview in a little bit with Patrick Walker from CBS Sports, head writer over there for Cowboys 24/7. But Andrew, you're here. What are your thoughts about the season so far? Not just for the Eagles. Is there somebody that has full on surprised you? Is there a team that's just been a sleeper all along for you?
As far as the Eagles or NFL?
Just NFL?
In the NFL, I would say the Houston Texans. I don't think there's a better team right now. I would probably say the Houston Texans, and you could probably argue the San Diego or the Los Angeles Chargers are pretty good. They just took out the Steelers the other night.
Yeah.
Those are teams that are starting to get hot down the stretch there that are going to be, a force in the playoffs, I think. And as far as the Eagles, I would say I'm very shocked by Corey Clement. The last time I was on here, I predicted Corey Clement to be my breakout player of 2018. My defensive player was Kamu Grugier-Hill, and he's really stepped up. He had he had 7 tackles last week. He was all over the field this week as well. It's like guys like him, I would say that I've been pretty surprised with.
Yeah. Corey Clement, I really loved watching him play last year, and I was glad to see that he's been doing a little bit better this year too, because it's been tough with Sproles being out all year, which I was glad to see him get a nice touchdown the other night too. It was a nice run. Sproles train back in the building. I love it. It's been interesting. I mean, Carson Wentz hasn't had the best season either, but
It just seems that way though. Like
Just-
on paper,
On
it's
paper,
been
it's great. Yeah.
But then you look all over the league. On paper, every quarterback's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
And you've been
amazing.
talking about that. Yeah, you've been talking about it. And it's kind of crazy because I don't know. I was hoping so bad for like MVP comeback player of the year type, but Andrew Luck I think
Andrew
has
Luck,
that going on big time.
Patrick Mahomes, I think, has it locked up.
For MVP?
Yeah.
You think?
But
Yeah.
Andrew
Oh,
Luck
as
for
far as, like,
comeback.
A comeback player,
yeah,
I was saying.
comeback player.
Andrew
Okay,
Luck.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably make a case for Drew Brees too for MVP.
Which, it's so funny, and I
That's
hate,
true.
talking about fantasy sports, but I love making fun of other people for fantasy sports. Like, we talk about it every now and then, and we hate ourselves when we do it.
Yeah.
But, all right, so this was a scenario where a buddy of mine, he's like, all right, who do I start? Andrew Luck or the Chargers guy? Quick, what's his
Rivers.
name?
Rivers.
Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting question because Phillip Rivers has thrown at least 2 touchdowns like every game this year. And then Andrew Luck has thrown 3. I think I looked it up. He's one of 4 quarterbacks in NFL history to throw 3 touchdowns in 8 consecutive games or more. Well, I mean, they're both the hot hand.
Yeah.
But I was telling him, like, all right, so what you need to do in this situation, with any situation in life, you figure out what's the answer and then think, there's no way I could do anything else. How can you pick anyone else but Andrew Luck? He's thrown 3 touchdowns a game.
Yeah.
There's no way you could. Rivers has
Why?
done great,
Yeah.
but 3 touchdowns a game for 8 straight games, only been done 4 times. You go with Rivers or you go with Luck. If it doesn't work out, you made the right decision. And then the Luck plays so horrible.
Yeah.
And
I
he's
have Andrew
texting me
Luck.
saying, this is the worst decision ever. But it's those kind of things. If you had the decision to do over a million times, you do the same thing. But that's why you don't even want those decisions. It sucks.
Yeah. And I honestly haven't looked at my fantasy squad in weeks. In weeks, I gave up. I conceded defeat because first of all, I was stuck with Fitzmagic. And because I missed my draft and auto draft got me Antonio Brown first round. And so it was just downhill, literally from the second it started this year for me. So better luck next year for Buddha Booyah. That's
Buddha booyah. Man.
something crazy happened. Right now we're recording on Tuesday. Urban Meyer just announced his retirement. And I don't know why, but the first thing I thought of was the Green Bay Packers.
I thought the same thing.
I'm like, it's either him or Harbaugh at this point, to me, right? Because
For some reason, I think Urban Meyer's going to take like 2 years off and then get back into coaching.
yeah. Well, he says he's going to stay close to Ohio State. Like he's going to stick with the school, whatever. I don't know. Like as soon as I heard it, I was like, Mike McCarthy got fired over the weekend. Like coincidence? Maybe.
I don't know.
Because they asked him about coaching again, and he was like, "It's complicated."
So wait, so he was the coach of
Ohio State,
which is in the state of,
Ohio.
and there's a real juicy job that's available right now in the state of Ohio.
Cleveland.
Cleveland Browns.
Wow.
Who doesn't want that job? Hey, we'll hire you.
I mean,
You got 3 years.
it's
Win a couple or not.
it's better than it was a few years ago.
But
for
you don't
sure.
have
You just
to,
have to win 2.5 at this point.
You don't need to look for a new apartment for at least 3 years. So you're good, no matter what happens.
I don't know. They're
That's
saying
the power move.
They're saying he was suffering from like crazy headaches and stuff, and that's one of the big things that is getting him out of this. Is just because he collapsed on the field like a few weeks ago.
I think he had some kind of
He has a
brain
cyst on his
surgery.
brain.
Yeah.
he has a cyst on his brain.
that they operated on and
Yeah.
didn't get it all. And
Something, yeah.
Yeah, you look at coaches like Bill Parcells and Dick Vermeil, and they all had like either stress related or health related things that took them away from the game for a little bit, but then they ended up coming back. I think that's kind of going to be the case with Urban Meyer. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Another crazy story in the NFL right now is Kareem Hunt on the commissioner's exempt list.
watch what you say. He might beat you up.
I'm sure this is in your TMZ rapid fire thing because they apparently broke the whole story wide open.
They've had video and video after video.
There's more than one?
Oh yeah, he got in a fight with a dude at a nightclub.
Yeah.
Multiple women that TMZ has, and he's also just been taken out of Madden 2019.
Take it out of Madden.
Taken out of Madden.
I hate everything about how we are today.
That's even a
Because
thing.
him being in Madden is too offensive for people.
Well, they do update their rosters. They do, like every week. I
He
think
should
they
be
do.
on like the free
Yeah,
agent
but you
list
can
or
still,
something.
you can get free agents and they
Yeah,
still have
he's
that
just
out of the
He's
game.
gone.
Well, he's on the exempt list. He
He's-
can't participate on your Madden game either.
I don't know, maybe.
I mean, the commission.
All right, so this may be, I don't mean this to be an insensitive question. I think it's just a math question. So you said he got in trouble for like fighting multiple women. So that made me think, is there a
And
number of
dude.
women where like collectively it's okay to fight them?
It's
I don't
never
know.
okay.
I think the kick across the
It's
face
not-
of that one chick.
It's
kind
not
of
okay to
does
hit,
him in.
Have you seen the videos?
hit a woman, but what if there's
Yeah.
18 of them?
Kevin, have you seen the video
What?
of
Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, of the.
Well, I saw the one, the main one, where they're in the hotel thing, and he inexplicably just kicks her when she's down, which was insane.
Which is also, you don't do that in a normal fight, especially a
Well, here's
fight
the
with
thing.
a woman.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll put to rest the whole ridiculous question: is there a certain number of women
And
where
then the
it's
cops
now
are under
okay?
fire too because she wanted to press charges and they just kind of blew it off.
Well,
And they did that for the guy at the club too, apparently, right?
Yeah. The guy at the club wanted to press charges too, and the cops just kind of like, okay, we'll get right on that.
right. So when I saw the hotel video for the first time, and if nobody's seen it, go online. Like the main video that made this whole thing blow up
Watch them all.
is when, yeah, sure. There's this fight. Everyone's holding them back, and there's this chick. I guess everybody involved is drunk, and I'm watching the video, and the whole time I'm like, it's not that bad. Like she got knocked down, but he knocked somebody else into her, and the whole thing broke wide open for me. Is at the very end, she's down, and he goes up and kicks her. But it wasn't even like, it was one of those kicks where like midway through, he's like, this is a bad idea. It was a weird,
Yeah, right after contact though.
like, it wasn't a hard kick, but it was so like, what is wrong with you? What are you doing? Walk away. And he literally kicks her when she's down. And it didn't look hard. That's why it was messing with my brain, because it wasn't a hard kick. You imagine somebody on the ground and an NFL player kicking that person, that's going to leave some bruises. But this was like midway through, it's like he kind of realized what was going on. And it was like almost like a kid like wants the last word or something. Like he just went up, kicked, and ran away. It was so weird. I don't get it. I think this guy's got issues.
Oh yeah.
Shit, he's got a lot of issues.
But-
He's out of the NFL for sure.
He's also got talent, so he'll be back. We'll see
Yeah,
where this
don't
ends
worry.
up.
Ray Rice told TMZ that he will mentor him.
Oh my god.
What a joke.
Oh my god.
That Kareem Hunt, his
a
whole
train
camp
wreck.
is like, no, we're good. We're good.
Andrew, back to you. What do you think about the Eagles moving forward this season? I mean, we've seen a surge up, like we were saying, over the last couple games. Where do you see this ending?
Well, if you were to have asked me 2 weeks ago, I'd say, they're going to probably get the 10th or 11th pick in the NFL draft. But the way that they're looking now, last night was probably the first game I can honestly say this season that they had some semblance of that 2017 magic. You saw some plays, hitting Nelson Aguilar on the crossing route, testing guys deep.
Yeah.
They just have more of a rhythm. They got Golden Tate going, more guys going than just Zach Ertz. And on defense, I mean, they were flying around with a bunch of, backup players. You got Trey Sullivan back there. You have Corey Graham playing all the plays, really. They have a lot of guys that stepped up. So I think you're going to, as you start to get guys back like Avonte Maddox, and you're going to get Jalen Mills back, and Jordan Hicks, I think, will be back next week. I think moving forward, I think I could see them making a surge into the playoffs. And once you get in, that's really all that matters. Anything can happen.
Do you think that it's going to result with them winning the division? I guess this week we'll find out.
Well, yeah, we'll find out this week. I certainly think that it'll be a great game, and we'll talk to Patrick about that. But I think we can win the division. I don't see why we can't.
It's such a weak division right now, and especially with Washington and their quarterback situation, they actually looked like they had a halfway decent chance at it for most of the season, or at least upwards to half of it. And now they're down 2 quarterbacks, both of them leg injuries.
Yeah, they're done.
Alex Smith is done for the foreseeable future.
Given his age, who knows? He may not come back.
He might not come back.
He's more looking towards like Dancing with the Stars 2020.
Yeah,
he's got to be in ballroom dancing shape
the next
for 2020.
Stage in his
not
career.
this upcoming season.
Yeah,
don't hold me to that. But
next
2020, I think that's his year.
But what I will say is that Washington has a good defense. So the fact that the Eagles were able to do what they did against them, that was very encouraging. And you wanted to see that, against the team that was kind of wounded, against Mark Sanchez, and you got to take advantage. And against that defense, like they definitely came to play. Wentz you saw a mixed bag with him. He made some great throws and he made some not so great throws, like the throw in the end zone. As soon as he took the snap, he never took his eyes off Alshon Jeffrey. People say, he should have thrown it in front of him. Well, guess what? You throw it in front of him, the middle linebacker is going to pick that off. I don't mind the play. I don't like that read. Zach Ertz was wide open in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, it was a bad pick. That was what was the score of the game at that point? You remember what that was? They had 1 touchdown in the books. I think they might have been up 7-3. Maybe it might have been a 14-3 scenario.
Yeah, I think so.
On. But whatever it was, you can't be first down on like the 5-yard line and throw an interception. It can't happen. I mean,
you just can't make that throw.
Yeah,
you can't.
Yeah, I agree. Like we were saying, I was really glad to see Darren Sproles back in the mix. I think that the run by committee has worked well for the most part. I mean, given the fact that they are down their 2 top running backs in Jay Ajayi and Darren Sproles, so it's good to at least have one of them back moving forward.
Right. I
think that's going to play really into it. And these other young guys are just kicking ass. It's been a lot of fun watching them grow and get better throughout the season. So I'm hopeful about it. It's going to be interesting. I want to see Carson Wentz continue to just bounce back. I feel like he's just not having a camp this year or a preseason, I think really kind of affected him early on.
Yeah, instead of, using the offseason to, get better and, work out with the guys, he spent it rehabbing. So
right.
He never really had a full offseason to get in the rhythm with those guys, whereas last season he did. They went to North Dakota and things like that. So, I mean, this week I need to see Carson Wentz step up and take control of the offense, and this is what franchise quarterbacks are supposed to do. So I really need to see a lot from him next week when it counts.
It was great to see him stepping out of the pocket quite a bit against the Redskins as well, and just buying himself a little bit extra time.
Absolutely.
That play early on in the game to Golden Tate on that first drive was a perfect example of that. Just buying himself enough time, directing traffic, get him downfield a little bit. And I mean, that's what I want to see. I want to continue to see him just call the shots.
I have heard that play was nice.
It was a great play.
I was just chilling out on an escalator, making my way to Section 231. People at the Lincoln Financial Field, can you properly mark Section 231? I know that I've been to those seats many times, but I have an issue with I'm bad with direction. Whether it be, driving down the street,
very bad,
or
You're
finding
terrible.
my seat in a big stadium. And
because Boston is near Pittsburgh.
that's a whole nother story. We'll get into that. We could do a whole episode on my things, my weird little intro. What is it? Idiosyncrasies. Anyway, whatever.
Wow.
Just saying, I was making my way up an escalator because I had been up and down multiple sections. My Apple Watch was thrilled with me, like, "Yo, you're hitting all your steps today. Good job, buddy."
You guys were there together
Yeah.
Yes.
on Monday? That's awesome.
Yeah, me and Andrew went to the game. He was enjoying, the first touchdown.
Oh, it
and
was
I heard about it. The crowd seemed hyped. And it was funny because I got to my seat and there was a miscommunication with me and Andrew. And I wanted to let him know I wasn't upset with him that we had this miscommunication, but he had to let me be angry for about a minute or two because I was pissed. And I'm like, just let me get this out of my system and then I'll be good. And then I'm like, after a minute or two goes by, I'm like, all right, cheers, buddy. Good game. Let's have a good time now. No more angry Kevin.
He flipped the switch. I don't know. But
I just needed to have that moment, get it out of my system.
But
that's funny as hell.
You get to these games, especially on like a Sunday or Monday night. I mean, especially on a Monday, it's a work day. There's so many factors involved.
Yeah.
You don't want to get there too early, but you got to like beat rush hour traffic and all that kind of stuff. We were there like 3.5 hours early for the game. So to be that early for the game and to miss the first score is insane.
Pathetic.
But Taylor,
pathetic. CJ.
Just to go back to your point about Golden Tate, when I was talking to Brian Mitchell, he mentioned something that I totally agree with. Golden Tate's arguably one of the easiest receivers to get the ball to in the NFL. You talk about how he can line up in the backfield. You can get him going on jet sweeps. You can put him on the outside. You can put him in the slot. And the fact that the Eagles just almost try to shoehorn him in the offense the last few weeks to finally naturally get him going this week was pretty good to see. And this will be his third time playing Dallas this year, and he had great success the first time. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how he progresses the rest of the season as well, because I think people have been giving him a little bit too hard of a time. It takes a while to get used to somebody else's offense. New quarterback, new scheme, new everything, new teammates. I think that some people underestimate that and hold it against them a little too much. I mean, I don't know how long it would take me to get mad about it realistically. I guess I'd give him 3 weeks to get his shit together, which is what we've got. So
we only have 4 more games with him. So you just gave up a 3rd round pick. So you
need to get something out of it.
You have to. You don't know if he's coming back.
Right. That's true. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have a chat with Patrik Walker, senior writer for Cowboys 24/7 and CBS Sports. We're going to ask him all about the Eagles Cowboys coming up and amongst other things. We'll see. Be right back. Hey, it's Taylor Cooper, co-host Kev.
And I'm co-host Dan. I have to bring something up that's been bugging the shit out of me about your wedding.
What?
You've known me a long time.
Yeah.
All right.
You've known both of us a long time.
You've known Kev a long time.
Fucking radio show together.
Yeah.
We are your brothers.
Correct.
Why the fuck was I in the corner?
Yo,
both of us.
We were the furthest away from the bar. We were the furthest away from the food. It was like, I'm just going to put you guys in the corner because I don't want to see you.
Check out Might Be News on mbnnetwork.com. Also, SoundCloud and iTunes. New episodes every Monday. All right, welcome back to Might Be Sports. With us on the line, we have Patrik Walker, the senior writer for Cowboys 24/7 and CBS Sports. How you doing tonight, Patrik?
Doing great. We got a fun game coming up here in the next few days, and it's Dallas week up there in Philly, and down here in North Texas, Cowboys are setting up, hoping to host you guys and hopefully run away with the division or start running away with it.
It's going to be really interesting. I'm anxious to see what happens. By the way, with me, I have Kevin Reevy and Andrew DiCecco. They're here. They want to ask you some questions as well about the big Eagles-Cowboys week. It's always a huge thing. Earlier this season was a huge letdown for us in round 1. We're all anxious to see how round 2 goes.
Patrik, what's going on, man? This is Andrew. We talked earlier today. I write for the Eagles Wire, and I had some questions, man. So they only played a few weeks ago, but the teams are so different. You got the Dallas really stepped up on defense. You got guys like Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith that are really coming into their own. And then the Eagles, you saw what they did last night. They got the offense going, a little bit more dynamic than they have been. So, yeah, 2 vastly different teams than what we saw a few weeks ago. How do you see the 2 teams stacking up now?
I think the irony is the teams are heads and tails of the same coin. You look at the Cowboys offense right now, and they are still very much a run-first offense, even with the addition of wide receiver Amari Cooper during the bye week. And although Amari went off for 180 yards only a couple weeks ago, it's still an offense that's very much run through running back Ezekiel Elliott. So you have the Cowboys offense that is not great by any stretch of the imagination at passing the ball. They're actually in the bottom quarter of the league when it comes to passing offense, but their running offense remains stellar. But then you have the Philadelphia Eagles, who are the exact opposite. They don't run the ball well, but they do pass proficiently when they're firing on all cylinders. And Carson Wentz, as we've seen, he can drop back and he can throw it all over the field to multiple targets. The Eagles struggled to get Golden Tate involved the first few games after the trade, but they definitely got him involved against the Washington Redskins to the tune of over 80 yards on, I think, 7 catches. And then Tate, although he didn't have a great outing in Week 10 against the Cowboys, he did torch the Cowboys as a member of the Detroit Lions earlier in the season for over 100 yards. So it'll be interesting to see if the inclusion of Tate will replicate this week in Week 14 and how the Cowboys are going to look to defend him. Because, again, when Tate's firing on all cylinders, that can open up that offense even more for the Eagles. So I'm really kind of keyed in to see how that's going to shake out.
Yeah, they definitely. It was kind of awkward the first few weeks trying to get him involved, but last night they looked a little bit more natural getting him the ball. He's very easy to get the ball to in open space. Whether it's out of the backfield in the slot or out wide. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, Patrick.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing with Tate is that I think the Eagles struggled a bit trying to figure out how to integrate him with the likes of Nelson Aguilar, who primarily plays the slot now, because you got Alshon Jeffrey on the outside, and he is not a speed threat by any stretch of the imagination, but he is a big possession guy who can go up and get the ball. He's basically a walking first down. But then again, so is Nelson Aguilar. And Golden Tate, he excels out of the slot, so I think the Eagles and Doug Peterson had a bit of an issue trying to figure out how to manage those two talents, but it looks like it got figured out in Week 13. But it's going to be really interesting because the Cowboys now going into Week 14, this will be the third time this season they've seen Tate. So they may or may not have his number, but we'll find out here in the next few days.
Yeah, that's interesting. And Patrick, thanks for coming on. We're talking about Golden Tate and like trying to get into like the groove with the Eagles and like kind of having a slow start in Philadelphia. And then, right across, we got the Cowboys, Amari Cooper. He seemed to just hit the ground running. And he's changed things for the Cowboys. It seems like once they got him, everything turned around. So what's the difference? Like what is Cooper doing? Or what were they able to do with Cooper that maybe the Eagles couldn't really get Golden Tate into? Or is Cooper just that good, that much of a game changer?
Well, it's primarily because Golden Tate is, like we talked about, he does a lot of damage out of the slot. He's not a number one wide receiver. He wasn't a number one wide receiver with the Detroit Lions. He's not going to be a number one wide receiver with the Philadelphia Eagles. That's why you guys have Alshon Jeffrey there. But for the Cowboys, Amari Cooper came in and was the ready-made number one wide receiver. So you have that difference there. But then also, arguably, Amari Cooper is a better route runner than Golden Tate. So that makes Amari Cooper that much more, quote-unquote, Dak-friendly, because as you've seen, Dak can throw him the ball on a crisp route, and most of his catches are, in fact, either first downs or touchdowns. But he gets a lot of yards after the catch as well. Takes a whole lot of pressure off of Dak Prescott, who notoriously isn't great at throwing the deep ball, but you don't necessarily have to be great at throwing the deep ball to Amari Cooper because he can catch a ball 9 yards from the line of scrimmage and then run for another 20, and now you have a 29-yard game. So that's why those are just a couple of reasons why Amari Cooper is excelling instantly in Dallas, whereas Tate has struggled in trying to transition from Detroit to Philadelphia.
Right, so all right, so speaking of Dak, what's your take? I mean, you could go either way with this. I'm not proud, but I kind of like to make fun of Dak Prescott, being from Philadelphia, and he had a really rough stretch there for a while. So, I'm a numbers guy. I wrote a sports stats book, so I love like playing with numbers, and he had a long stretch where things weren't going so well.
Right.
But now it looks like he's turned it around. At the worst, I think he's a good, like they call it a game manager. I think he's great at that, and it seems like he's turning things around. He's not turning the ball over a ton of times. That's nice. But I mean, what is your take? Like from the inside, is he turning this around? Can he win a Super Bowl in Dallas?
He can if you provide the right situation. And I've said this many times before. Dak Prescott is a scheme quarterback. And that's not a knock to Dak Prescott, because if you look at the league on the whole, there are only 4 or 5 quarterbacks that can actually step in and change the entire dynamic of the offense. You talk about your Tom Brady's and your Aaron Rodgers and your Drew Brees of the world. But to a degree, Matt Ryan, when he's really playing Matt Ryan MVP football, which he has not necessarily been doing this season. But then for the most part, you have 2/3 of the league, 3/4 of the league that are just system quarterbacks that you have to give them a great offensive line. You have to give them a solid running back. You have to give them a defense that either plays well and doesn't permit a lot of yards or takes the ball away at a high rate. And if Dallas can continue to provide that to Dak Prescott, then he can begin getting back to the more efficient ball play that got him Rookie of the Year honors in 2016. Dak Prescott is not going to shoot out a game with anybody and consistently win. He's not going to shoot it out with Drew Brees if he had to, so that's why the defense, it worked in Dallas' favor that the defense clamped down on the Saints, because if that turned into a shootout, the Saints were going to walk away with a win. So it's really predicated upon the defense taking the ball away, time of possession, which is something the Eagles do quite well. You guys are right up there. I think you're number 1 in the league with time of possession. But that's also something that the Cowboys do as well. When it comes to Dak Prescott, I'm for him getting a second contract, but not if we're talking about $100 million. I don't think he's earned that at all. I think that right now there's still a lot of questions, and it really boils down to this. I've seen Dak Prescott prove that he's a franchise quarterback. I've also seen him prove that he's not. And I just don't know where he is just yet. But we're about to find out over the course of these next 4 games.
What do you think? I know the temperature of Jerry Jones on the coach, but what are the Dallas fans thinking about Jason Garrett? What is your take on him? Is he going to be back? Is he worth keeping around? What's your take on that?
My take is that Jason Garrett's going to be back for 2019 for a couple of reasons. One, he's contracted through 2019. But then additionally, I think that he is the scapegoat for a lot of the ills that happen with the Dallas Cowboys. And let's just be honest, guys, that's going to happen with the quarterback and the head coach.
Yeah. Yep.
It just comes with the territory.
Sure.
When it comes to Jason Garrett, he's one of the best leaders among men, I should say, that I've ever seen. And that's not being hyperbolic. I mean, literally, he's a leader. He's a Jimmy Johnson kind of leader. But what I tell fans often is Jimmy was not a great X's and O's guy. He left that to Norv Turner offensively. Jimmy focused on being the CEO of the team. If Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones in this front office can bring in a more dynamic, a more creative, a more impactful offensive coordinator, then I think you'll see a huge turnaround. Because look at it right now. You got Rob Marinelli and Chris Richard doing great things with the defense. The defense is top 10 in every category except takeovers, which they're improving in over the past couple of games or so. But offensively, they're just not there. With all of that talent, they're just not there. So I don't think that the issue is Jason Garrett on the whole. I think that what it comes down to is Garrett is accountable for empowering Scott Linehan unjustifiably. And I think that Scott Linehan, to be blunt with you guys, I think he needs to go. I think the Cowboys need to find a new offensive coordinator that's going to fix the issue. But if Jason Garrett continues to tie his ship to Linehan, they're both going to sink eventually.
Patrick, one of the biggest matchups next Sunday will be Zach Ertz versus your linebackers, Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith. How do you see that playing out, given Zach Ertz has 93 catches for 978 yards on the season, and he's arguably the Eagles' top weapon on offense?
That's going to be a huge challenge for the Cowboys, to say the least. Like you mentioned, 978 yards, 6 touchdowns, 10.5 yards per reception, I believe. It's going to be a daunting task, and the good news for the Cowboys is they have two of the best young linebackers in all of football. Will Sean Lee return? We don't just yet know. Practice will fire up here on Wednesday, and then we'll have a better idea if Sean Lee is going to play. If I had to put my money on the table right now, I'd say Sean Lee is not going to take the field in Week 14. So that's going to put a lot of onus on Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith, and both are very capable. I think what you're more so going to see from a linebacker standpoint is Vander Esch doing more of the covering on Ertz because they like to use Jalen Smith a lot in blitz packages. That's why he has 4 sacks on the season. He doesn't do a ton of covering, but he does drop back from time to time, particularly in the red zone. And I think that's where Ertz really excels, as does Dallas Goedert. So they're going to have their hands full and their work cut out for them. But I don't think that he has to be the one to take over the game. What the Cowboys need to do is force the game on others. They need to force the game on Darren Sproles, for example. Sproles is back from his injury, but he's not had a great past couple of games. Historically, he plays very well against the Cowboys, however, but I think putting him against someone like Jordan Lewis, which would be an interesting matchup. Yeah. Cowboys had Jordan Lewis on Alvin Kamara last week, and when he was covering Kamara, he only allowed 5 overall yards from Alvin Kamara. Darren Sproles is that same scat back, great wide receiver out of the backfield, but can also run the ball. So I think the Cowboys are going to mix it up in that way for that Sproles matchup. But as far as Ertz goes, you can't really put too much coverage on Ertz because it's going to open up the field for someone like Dallas Goedert, who has 3 touchdowns on the season. So they got to be careful there. But I think that if it was a one-on-one situation, I'm more than confident that Leighton Vander Esch can handle the job. He's been playing at a Pro Bowl level, and he only has 7 starts. He already has over 100 tackles, fastest in franchise history to hit that mark. 2 touchdowns, 7 pass deflections. He's pretty good at what he does.
He's a monster.
So is Zach Ertz. So, yeah, but he's a monster. Zach Ertz is a monster. I think that's a huge matchup to watch come Sunday.
Definitely.
So what do you think comes Sunday? You have the pulse of the fans out there. What are the fans thinking? I mean, right now, it might be kind of the same thing, like polar opposites. Like I think Philadelphia fans are nervous. They don't know what to think of this team right now. Maybe Dallas fans are feeling a little bit more optimistic. They had high hopes coming into the season. Things didn't start out great, but they're leading the division. They're playing well. What are they thinking right now?
Smart fans are cautiously optimistic. And the reason they're not cocky after 4 straight wins is because they remember being 3-5 just a month ago.
Yeah.
They remember being 0-4 just a month ago. And even having wrapped off these 4 wins, one of those wins being against the almighty New Orleans Saints. Yes, the Saints dropped 48 points on the Eagles. But what happened last week and what happened the week before has nothing to do with what's going on this week. That's just football in the NFL. But you look at what the Cowboys are doing, the most weight in their wins comes from the defense. There's still a ton of questions about this offense, a ton of questions. If you ask them with 13 points beat the Saints going into that game, the answer is no. And the answer is going to be no on a week-to-week basis. 13 points is not going to cut it. They're averaging, I think, just over 18 points a game, 27th in the league. Their passing offense is in the bottom, 5% of the league. Those are numbers that should make any intelligent Cowboys fan nervous going forward. Because even if the Cowboys were to defeat the Eagles and then go on to win the NFC East, what are they going to do when they come up against the Los Angeles Rams and possibly against the New Orleans Saints? Yes, they've shut down the Saints before, but can they do it again in January at Mercedes-Benz Superdome? And can this offense be more consistent? They put up 40 points against the Jaguars, but then they'll drop 13 points and then 17 points and then 24. Yay, 24 points. If you're celebrating scoring 24 points, then your offense has a problem.
Especially this year. I mean, 24 points, that's peanuts.
I think intelligent Cowboys fans understand that, yes, the defense is Super Bowl caliber. The offense is absolutely not. And until that gets fixed, they should be a bit nervous.
We, as Eagles fans, feel the same way. It's that even if we win this game, even if we win the division, what are we going to do against some of these other teams? what are your thoughts moving forward with the season? Who do you think? Just prediction. What do you think's the outcome of this season?
Just looking at it, I think it goes like this from the basement moving up in the NFC. I think that the Giants, and for all of the fun that NFC East fans are having at the Giants' expense, I've said this now for about 2 or 3 weeks, the Giants are dangerous because the Giants don't know that they're bad. And when the team doesn't know that they're bad, when the team doesn't know they're bad, you know what they do? They go out and they upset the Chicago Bears in overtime.
Well, they might have the best running back in the NFL.
Yeah.
And the best wide receiver, which is
you're talking to a Cowboys
crazy.
writer, so that's arguable.
That's a good point.
So that's arguable.
They got Ezekiel Elliott 2.0.
Elliott guy, he's kind of good, and he keeps going back and forth with Todd Gurley for the rushing title in 2018. So, but that's a conversation for another time. But Saquon Barkley is an absolute monster. He's a beast, and he's now figured out how to do it without having great protection up there in New York. So he's something to watch. But that New York Giants team, they're scrappy. They're scrappy as hell. And although mathematically because they're not mathematically eliminated just yet, they believe they can run the table and hope that the Eagles and or the Cowboys completely collapse. And if that happens, then maybe the Giants win the division at 8-8. Is that a stretch? Yes, it's a stretch. But I'm saying all that to say this: the Giants still believe, so that makes them dangerous. But in the end, I don't think they're going to do anything more than just play spoiler to either the Eagles or the Cowboys. The Redskins are shambles. They're just an absolute shambles. You guys broke them last night. If they weren't broke before Monday Night Football, they are now. Colt McCoy out for the season.
Mark
the Heels
Sanchez.
of Alex Smith, being out for the season. They got Mark Sanchez. I think they just signed Josh Johnson. Who cares, right?
He's terrible.
Trent Williams, he is battling injury.
By the way, if there was ever a spot for
in-
Colin Kaepernick should be on the Redskins right now. If he wants to play football, that is.
Colin Kaepernick is going to win the collusion case, so I don't think he really cares at this point.
Right.
Every time he gets snubbed in an obvious situation like the Redskins just did, it just builds his case even more. So he's going to get lots and lots of money from the NFL as soon as that collusion case meets its conclusion in the next few years or however long that litigation takes. But the Redskins are in shambles, so I think that the Eagles broke them, and they're going to start spiraling. They might win 2 of their last 4, but it's possible they win only 1 of their last 4. But I think they're out of the picture. They just don't have health at the right positions to be able to challenge the Eagles and Cowboys for the division crown. So that brings me to the Eagles. I think the Eagles are as schizophrenic as the Cowboys. You never know what you're going to get on a week-to-week basis, which Eagles team is going to show up. They have a really, really good defense, but the offense, it can be hit or miss. Carson Wentz has not looked the same as he did in 2017 when he was up for MVP before he tore his ACL. A perfect example would be, although his passing numbers look sufficient, he's not even reached the 100-yard passing mark just yet, but he had 299. He hasn't reached the 100-yard rushing mark yet, but he had 299 rushing yards last season. So I think that his ACL is fine, but for whatever reason, Doug Peterson and that offensive coordinator over there, you guys are just not getting him outside of the pocket and letting him use his mobility, which was something that drove me crazy with the Cowboys a lot of this season because they were doing the same thing with Dak Prescott. They were forcing him to sit in the pocket. Dak Prescott is not a pocket passer. At least Carson Wentz can be that pocket guy. Dak Prescott needs to utilize his mobility as a means of relieving pressure so that he can have time to throw. Because if he's pressured, he doesn't make the hot read well. He doesn't go through his progressions well. And that's something that Carson Wentz has over Dak Prescott. But again, that's not a knock to Prescott. You just got to know what his talent is, what his skill set is, and you kind of have to build around that. So I think that I do believe the Cowboys are going to win the division. I don't think it's going to be, them running away with it. But I think that if the Eagles lose this game after being demoralized on their own field by the Cowboys, which kind of started the backward spin because the Saints came up after that, right. I think that the Eagles are really going to have a lot of questions, and they don't have a lot of time to figure it out. And the Cowboys will simply use this potential win to just jetpack them through the last, 4 games. So if the Eagles want a real shot at the division, they absolutely have to win this game. If the Eagles lose this game and the Cowboys win, the Cowboys will have all but clinched the division. 2 games up, only 3 games remaining, and the Eagles' schedule after the Cowboys is not friendly.
You got the Rams, you got the Texans, and Washington again.
Yep, it's gonna be ugly.
Friendly. I think you guys have a combined opponents win record of 33-15, including this week with the Cowboys. That's brutal. And see, the Cowboys, including you guys, their opponents' combined win-loss record for December is 21-27. Now, this is a league where anyone can beat anyone on any given Sunday. But if we're just talking straight numbers, if the Eagles lose this game, the road only gets tougher. And they only have 3 games to catch up to a 2-game, well, actually even more than 2 games, because the Cowboys will have swept them, just more like 2.5 games. So at the end of the day, the Eagles need this more than the Cowboys do. And that's where it concerns me a bit with the Cowboys, because 4-game win streak, I'm worried that they might get a little comfortable. They say they're playing with their back still against the wall, but we're going to find out if that's the case, because it's easy for a team to not have a loss after a month and then start to feel that they have it figured out. But in reality, this Cowboys team doesn't have it figured out yet.
Man, when you put those win-loss records out there, now I'm just depressed now.
That's
all right, we're gonna lose. It's done.
It's Sixers season.
Shoot.
Patrick Walker.
I think the Eagles season, and it's admirable that they've been able to fight. And same goes for the Cowboys. These are 2 teams that have gone through a lot this season between injuries and question marks around, is Carson Wentz ever going to regain his swagger? Is Dak Prescott ever going to regain his swagger? Is Doug Peterson really that guy, or was he a one-hitter quitter? And those types of things. Can this defense step up? You guys have a lot of questions about the secondary, et cetera, et cetera. And here we are, going into week 14. Neither team has a losing record, and it's more or less a game for the division. And if you had spoken to me coming out of the bye week and asked me if the Cowboys had a shot at the playoffs, I probably would have spent the first 30 seconds laughing before I gave you an answer.
This is going to be a great game.
Here we are.
Yes, I'm excited.
Here we are. So this is going to be a fantastic game. A lot on the line, a lot to be determined.
It's a playoff game, really.
Yeah.
It's a playoff game. And then think about it. For the Cowboys, add the additional herbs and spices of the Bears losing to the Giants. So now the Cowboys have that added motivation of, hey, if we handle the Eagles and the Bears lose to the Rams, suddenly the once 3-5 Cowboys are now in the number 3 spot in the NFC.
Right.
Now, in a weird twist of fate, that might actually, in the end, work in the favor of the Eagles, because what we're seeing now with the losses from Carolina's moving backwards, for example, the Minnesota Vikings are moving backwards. Suddenly, there's an NFC wildcard spot that is probably going to open up for the NFC East. And so we might actually see both the Cowboys and the Eagles squeeze into the playoffs, and then it's going to be really fun.
Wow. Wow. Patrick Walker, thank you so much for being on our show. Where can our listeners find you on Twitter and on social media?
Oh, just on Twitter, @Voice of the Star. Make sure you guys download the CBS Sports app, go to Dallas Cowboys, and turn on your notifications so that you don't miss any of the news ongoings with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, we'll skip that. We'll skip those notifications. We don't need those. I know. For everybody else, we do have Cowboys fans that listen, but
to be fair, I keep up with Eagles news, right? You have to be, in order to know what's going on with your enemy, you got to be able to,
Exactly,
so I know
right.
you guys have injuries and everything. So, but yeah, primarily, if you guys are on Twitter, @Voice of the Star, shoot me a line. I'm always available. Love talking football, and not just Cowboys football. Love talking football, period, with intelligent minds like you guys. So that's always fun. So thanks for having me on.
I appreciate the time, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, Patrick. Really appreciate it, man.
My pleasure. Good luck to you guys, and we'll see you Sunday.
Right.
All right. Same to you, man. All right. Excellent. That was an excellent interview. Shout out to Patrick Walker. Thank you so much for being on the show.
We did a really good job there. We're really good at this.
Yeah. No, we're great. We're great.
Great job by us.
Yeah.
I mean, he did his part. He did the best he could. But we really drove that interview.
We did. But we're running out of time.
Yes.
So we're going to do 3 quick TMZ things. Oh, real quick with CJ. Because just to plug it. We're going to do... There's no Novak and Franz this week. There's Novak's out of town, and Franz is working on CKY
But
Remastered.
HD.
But we have an exclusive interview on Let's Talk About It with Tim Ryan from the A&E docuseries Dope Man. CJ's going to sit down and ask him all the hard questions.
All the hard questions since I've known him for years. Everything I want to know that everyone else wants to know.
It's great.
this guy is fascinating. He's just wind him up and watch him go. He is a one-man show.
Kevin has met him several times.
Yes, and he is... I mean, he's like one of those type A guys. You just get him going on the story. He's an interviewer's dream. You're going to love this guy.
Oh, excellent.
You just say a word, and he'll go for a half hour on that topic. It's awesome.
So tune in Thursday for that. Following a special doubleheader episode of Let's Talk About It with the Manipulators. It's going to be a great week. So
Let's play 2.
let's do TMZ rapid fire.
All right. Jay Gruden, Skins considering signing Kaepernick, but likely won't.
You know what? I almost doubt that Kaepernick wants to play for the Redskins because he's like Patrick was saying, he wants to win his case against the NFL. B, the very existence of the Redskins is offensive to most people.
It's a weird thing.
Right?
Everything's offensive. The whole thing is offensive. It would be ironic as hell that his barrier to the NFL is some weirdly offensive thing that nobody's offended by. But this, hey, 2018, boom.
All right. Sammy Sosa, still a Cubs fan despite beef with team.
Sammy Sosa is white now.
All
Have
right.
you seen him?
I wanted to say that, but I wasn't sure that I was allowed to say that. I'm glad you said it for me.
In the video with TMZ, he also endorses and supports Black China's skin lightening makeup.
It's a weird.
But he's awkwardly white though. He has the cowboy hats and he's full blown
it's really strange.
His skin's
really
like Michael Jackson blue.
Anyone would say that it's weird.
Right. Well, because I'll never forget that season. I'll never forget the home run race with him and Mark McGwire. And to see Sammy Sosa in 2018 is a mind fuck.
It's true.
Next.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan, medical scare was terrifying. I just wanted to survive.
Who is this?
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
I don't know what happened to him.
Do you not know Hacksaw Jim Duggan, American superhero?
Well, so the reason I bring this up is because he was across at a convention from Novak and myself, and he walks up to our table, goes, "Looks like you guys like to party. What drugs can you get?"
What drugs can you get?
This is when Novak was still using.
That's literally from that guy's a cop. That's from the cop.
Yeah, right.
Rule book.
Yeah,
you go
but it
up
was
to kids,
Hacksaw, so you know who he was.
Hey, what drugs can you guys get?
You guys want to party later? Was the exact conversation, and Novak looking, all right, we're down.
Give me one more TMZ.
All right. Kendall Jenner, Philly cheeseskate with boyfriend Ben Simmons.
All right, so Ben Simmons is playing with a headband right now, and he's playing very well. So I think that counteracts the Kardashian curse. That's just my personal opinion, and it's not proven.
I hate that this is a thing.
They were at City Hall yesterday ice skating.
Can we just play sports and just have a sports thing and not have it be
who cares? Who cares?
Weird. By the way, I know it's weird. The guy's saying don't mix the reality TV with sports when Survivor is literally the greatest sport on television right now.
Wow.
It is this close to getting above. Oh, man, I don't want to say it's better than basketball, but this has been a really good NBA season. All right, Survivor's still the 4th best sport. By the way, next week we're going to have an update on Survivor, and we may have a former cast member of Survivor on the show.
Oh.
So look forward to that.
Oh, man.
Going to be awesome.
So, GOAT of the week, the greatest of all time
Of the week.
Mine this week. All right, so Jackie and I went to the Sixers game on this past Friday against the Wizards. It's like a 30-point blowout. And we were living the lower level lifestyle. We were like 19 rows up. It was phenomenal. Phenomenal.
That's like 19 rows too high for me, but it's, I mean, whatever you're into. You love
Maybe he
those
only
sight lines.
sits next to M. Night.
You like those sight lines. That's, I mean, good for you.
It was so cool. And my go to the week for no real particular reason is Ben Simmons, because we were kind of in the corner, and I don't know if you guys watched the game Friday night, but he had a really nice alley oop. That shit happened right in front of us. He had a really nice, like, between the legs pass. That shit happened right in front of us. And I came to the conclusion that going to NBA games, especially on the lower level, is probably my favorite sporting event to attend. Simply because there's less downtime. It's quick paced. Even the foul shots are exciting live. You know what I mean?
Right.
We were like right on the corner, so we were right on the cusp of the Wendy's things. They you know what I mean? And that shit is exciting. When you're right there in it, that shit is exciting. And, hockey, there's so long in between periods with the Zambonis and da-da-da. Football, halftime is really long. I feel like it's just, I don't know. NBA basketball live is where it's at.
All right, yeah, good point. I mean, basketball's great live. I think I'm partial to football live because it's like a once a week thing. So it's like a group, like, religious experience.
Oh, nothing beats NFL tailgates. Like that.
So there's that.
Basketball, baseball, all that shit doesn't have that. So,
but I'll be short and sweet with my go to the week. I'm going to say Darren Sproles came back, scored a touchdown. I think I probably stole Andrew's guy, maybe. But he's my go to the week. All I could say, I mean, whatever. That his history with the Eagles, he's done some great things with the Chargers, had a great career. I would say anyone listening to this right now, go back and look at his YouTube videos, his Kansas State college, or as I like to call it, minor league football career highlights. It's amazing. This guy was a mini Barry Sanders. You look at these, we forget, or I mean, some people listening to this might not be old enough to know. Like 20 years ago, he was in college, and he was, I mean, as good as he is now, he was a superhero back then in college.
Fun
this
fact.
little small guy.
His nickname in Kansas State was the Pinball.
Dude, he's got
Makes
these
sense.
these highlight videos are unbelievable. I haven't seen anything like it since Barry Sanders. Haven't seen anything like it since Darren Sproles. Go back and look at those videos. They're entertaining as hell.
Yeah, that's great. Andrew, do you have one? Are you good? You
No,
good?
I'm good, yeah.
Thank you so much for being here, Andrew. It's always a pleasure talking to you, man.
Oh, I had a great time.
I have one more question for you, actually.
Hey, what's up?
Tell us where we can find you on Twitter, social media, whatever.
Yeah, no doubt. Twitter, my Twitter handle is at DiCecco NFL. That's DiCecco NFL. And you could check out some of my work on the Eagles Wire. That's theeagleswire.usatoday.com.
Excellent. Kevin, great job tonight.
Hey, you know what? It was fun, and we talked football, we talked sports, we talked life, and I can't wait to do it again.
CJ, excellent.
It was so good. I'm going to drop the mic.
He didn't really do that. That was just a special effect.
It was.
I just want to keep it real.
That's cool.
I care about our listeners.
And Andrew, great job tonight. Thank you again.
Thanks
very
again
much
for having me, man.
And again, shout out to Patrick Walker. Check us out next week, and maybe we'll talk some more sports.
And Survivor!